subsisting on whatever animals they could hunt, sucking nourishment from withered roots and grasses, while their numbers dwindled. They had no proper clothing, and only meagre provisions and supplies from the ship. As winter wore on, they endured relentless Arctic winds, waist-deep snow, the ravages of scurvy, and continuous assaults by the feral blue foxes. The St. Peter was one of 2 ships commissioned for the Great Northern Expedition, also known as the Second Kamchatka Expedition. It was the most ambitious and well-financed scientific voyage in history. Lasting nearly 10 years and spanning 3 continents, its geographic, cartographic and natural history accomplishments are on a par with James Cook's famous voyages, the scientific circumnavigations of Alessandro Malaspina and Louis-Antoine de Bougainville, and Lewis and Clark's cross-continental trek, the observations of the expedition's naturalist, German Georg Steller, gave Europe its first scientific description of Pacific America's flora and fauna, including the Steller's sea lion, Steller's sea cow, and Steller's jay. Conceived by Russia's Peter the Great in the early 1720s, and led by Danish mariner Vitus Bering, the cost of this incredible enterprise was about 1.5 million rubles, an astonishing 1/6 of the annual income of the Russian state. Yet despite the lavish financing and lofty goals, the Great Northern Expedition is also one of the Age of Sail's darkest tales of shipwreck, suffering, and survival. The Great Northern Expedition was intended to show Europe the grandeur and sophistication of Russia, while extending its imperial boundaries throughout northern Asia and across the Pacific Ocean to America. The scientific goals, though tethered to the interest of the state, were staggering in their scope. Russia had only recently been transformed, in the estimation of Western European nations, from a barbarous backwater to a somewhat civilized state. The politics in Russia at the time were dangerous, corrupt, and fickle, as many of the expedition members found out during and after their years on the frontier. Bering's original proposal for a voyage of exploration was modest, but when he saw his final instructions from Empress Anna, they had swollen to grandiose proportions. He would be at the head of a huge troop of nearly 3,000 scientists, secretaries, students, interpreters, artists, surveyors, naval officers, mariners, soldiers, and skilled labourers, all of whom had first to cross through Siberia, and many of whom had to travel as far as the eastern coast of Kamchatka. They had to trek across 5,000 miles of roadless forests, swamps, and tundra, along with the supply of tools, iron, canvas, food and medicine, libraries, and scientific implements. Bering's second-in-command would be the impetuous and proud Russian officer Alexei Chirikov, both men veterans of a previous major expedition. The scientific objectives were equally vast, and included investigating the flora, fauna, and minerals of Siberia, as well as settling outlandish rumors about the Siberian peoples. Most important, the expedition was intended to consolidate Russian political control over the entire region, and somehow promote the Russian settlement of Okhotsk and Kamchatka, found schools, introduce cattle raising, discover and operate iron mines and a smelter, and construct a dockyard for deep-water ships. Once the weary cavalcade arrived in Okhotsk, Bering was supposed to build ships and sail south, to survey the northern coast of Japan and the Kuril Islands. Then he was ordered to build 2 more ships and sail to Kamchatka, found an outpost, and then sail east to Pacific America, where it was hoped the group would explore the coastline as far south as California. It was a wildly ambitious project that an absolute dictator with unlimited resources might possibly